Good afternoon. Welcome to the Kingston City Land Bank's public meeting of its Acquisition, Disposition, and Construction Committee. It is June 17th. My name is Mike Gilliard. I'm the Executive Director of the organization, serving in the capacity of moderator. For this call, we do ask that members of the public limit their comments to no more than 2 minutes per speaker. And at my discretion, if members of the public are acting in either an out of order or offensive manner, I reserve the right to remove them from the meeting. With that, I turn it over to the committee chair, Mr. Bob Dennison.
Thank you, Mike. It's good. You're getting good at that speech. Where are we? This meeting is really, we don't have any that I'm aware of action items. It's primarily an update meeting. And so much of it is going to fall to Owen and Mike to tell us all the exciting stuff that's going on. I'm trying to find the agenda that we sent out so we can start with that. So if you're patient for a second, I'll see if you have it, you can jump right in and I'll catch up.
If I could, the first item that you have on your agenda is to discuss the process to select the buyer for the Greenkill property.
Right. So I guess we should also talk about time frame on that.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I guess, are we ready to dive into that? We've marketed the property, so we must have a list of people who are interested in the property. So the next step would be I guess the next step is for the lenders to give us a list of those who are qualified to buy the property.
Yes.
So we're waiting for that, and then we are going to do a lottery. Am I correct? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. The current process that we're operating under is going to be an anonymous lottery with anonymized candidates who have met the qualifications of the program, who have received a pre-qualification letter from a bank, and who meet the income and household requirements, obviously. And then the board will be selecting from those anonymous qualified candidates. I would recommend one primary candidate and 2 alternates, as we did in the past, so that there is a backstop in case someone is unable to or unwilling to make the purchase.
Have we talked about how the board is going to do that? We're going to have a hat, or we have a bingo basket? I mean, assign numbers. We probably should talk about that.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it. I've never conducted a lottery, but I think we can probably all agree that it's going to be just that, like a lottery. So I can investigate maybe a mechanism for it, but it would, because it's anonymous and there's no information that the board is using to select candidates based on specific personally identifying information. It could just be as simple as assigning numbers 1, 2, and 3, and then people vote on 1, 2, or 3 via email. And the one with the most votes is the candidate selected as primary, and the other 2 are selected as alternates.
How many do we expect to have in the pool of candidates?
Sure. So we currently are working with, and this is based on, just to describe the process, every week, a list of those who have completed our intake form is sent to the homeownership counselor. The homeownership counselor then responds to them with a detailed list of what's required to make the actual application, which is made to the homeownership counseling firm. Completed application packages need to be sent back to the homeownership counselor within 2 weeks of that transmission. So all of that to say, every week we're trailing about a week behind or 2 weeks behind on what the final numbers are, but we've closed the campaign as of midnight on the 14th. And we currently have 8 completed application packages. That doesn't mean that they have met the credit qualifications, nor do they have a pre-qual. So we're whittling down a list of 8 and possibly more, because there was one additional package of leads that was sent to the homeownership counselor this week when the campaign ended. So somewhere between 8 and 0 is what we're looking at currently.
So it's not an unmanageable number. Like, it's not like 200. No,
not
so
currently.
if we assigned a number to each of them and then put those numbers in some kind of a container and had somebody draw 3 numbers. That might be the best way to do it. And, you know, it'd be nice if it was somebody unassociated with us, but I don't know if that's possible.
I had asked the homeownership counselor if we were to do this in the future, if they could recommend someone to do a third-party lottery, which I believe is literally that is the process, to place numbers in a container and physically remove those numbers to select people.
Right.
But for this, I think what we landed on was the board wanted to do that for this campaign.
Okay. So, okay. So, and this will probably happen in July, I'm guessing. It's not going to happen at our June meeting, is it?
No, I actually don't believe it will happen until probably 3 or 4 months from now. Just
3 or
based
4.
on
Okay.
the timeline that it takes to go through the process based on our last campaign was about, well, let's say 2 to 3 months would be a safe estimate. I will keep everyone in the loop, but we've kind of just started the process now that the application packages have been completed of going through candidates that might meet the other qualifications. So it will take some time. I don't believe it will be July. It might be August. It may be September.
Okay. So sometime in the August or September meeting, we'll have a drawing of the people to whom we're going to sell this house. Okay. I can, you know, we can come up with some exciting and creative way to draw this, to make this happen.
Okay.
And impartial and untainted by any possibility of influence by board members. That's a huge thing.
Yes. And I will have to check to make sure, get some advice as to whether or not that action should be taken publicly or not publicly. Just, I want to see what people do.
Right. If we do it at our meeting, it's going to be public.
Sure is.
Right. So personally, I think public is the way to go, but you know, but we'll see what others do.
It's probably good to have documentation, and that would be good documentation of the process for sure.
Right. You know, no secrets, especially selling real estate. No secrets is a good thing.
Yeah, as transparent as possible.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So that's good. We got one down. Planning for the sale of Down Street. Okay, here's the deal. A realtor friend of mine will meet with us on the 29th, right? And give us a, what she had an official term for it, or some kind of a pricing thing to give us an idea of what. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, I think it's called a broker dealer valuation.
Okay.
As opposed to an appraisal.
Okay, and this is Maureen Finch. She's part of the Jack Finch real estate outfit. Jack is I don't know if anybody knows Jack. Jack is a long-term, you know, wonderful guy who's been around for a million years, and I think he's well into his 90s at this point. And Maureen is his daughter-in-law. Her husband works for a bank, I guess. And she's been doing real estate for a long time, and Jack's been doing real estate for a million years. So I think they're reputable, and so it'll give us some starting off point, at least one. We may want others starting off point to see what we're talking about as far as the value of that house is concerned. So that's an update on that. So at this point, Mike and I are going to go. Daniel, certainly, you know, if you're bored and want to walk through Down Street again. I know you've got nothing going on. And she'll give us an evaluation. So that's kind of where we are. And I guess our intention is to sell that after we sell the Greenkill property. Is that correct? So we're talking the fall. Okay. That's a good thing. That's all right. All right. Number 3, a Hamilton site. The deal's done. Everything's wonderful. We have a check, right, Mike?
Not just yet. Not just yet. So in our constant communications with the potential purchaser, he continues to move forward with the processes that he needs to satisfy the requirements that we have in order to sell him the property. He continues to move forward with his plans and specifications, clarifying that thankfully he does not need to go through as we recently did, any of the historic commissions in the city of Kingston. He only needs to pull a building permit, which is good news. My other takeaways, maybe Daniel, because you were on that email thread, there was some additional information, but in summary, he continues to move forward, I think is my summary.
Yeah, I think he said that the full plans were expected to be done like this week or early next. And yeah, it sounds like he's moving along. I think he was still waiting on pricing for asbestos, but he did get the results back as expected. No major surprises. So yeah, sounds like it's moving along. He seems on top of it. It's just slow.
Agreed.
I didn't have this on the agenda, but it came to mind when I think about the Down Street property. Do we want to do something with Henry, or are we just going to sit for a while and use it for Legacy Cities in the future? Legacy Cities next lift was my understanding of where that was going. Is that still correct?
I think the best way to answer that question is to try to understand what the next round of $50 million from the state looks like.
Okay.
Legacy Cities is the first round of $25 million, originally designated for New York State land banks and now opened up to maybe contractors and nonprofit developers as well. The details of the next round should be, I believe, released within 2 weeks by the state, which is a pretty fast turnaround from passing a budget to telling you what you can use the money for.
But it is election year. It's a great motivator for them. That's a good thing.
True. That's true. So I don't have any specific updates to recommend under what program or pathway Henry Street should go under, but in lieu of financing elsewhere, I think we should target the state's tools.
So we won't ask for an evaluation. We'll just sit tight. It seems like the right thing to do. Okay. Property acquisition discussions with the city are unending saga. He's still developing his proposal, and we're going to sit tight and wait for his proposal to be done. Is that kind of, he says July?
End of July, submitted to the council.
So August earliest.
Yep.
Daniel will go crazy. Let's talk about impatience. Just going to make you nuts, Daniel.
It's been 3.5 years. If a thing happens on this, I'll be, thrilled. So.
Okay. All right. So
And
we'll sit tight. And
now that Bartek is in the mix, I think things like this might actually happen.
yes.
On top of it. So.
There was a nice article in the Freeman today about Bartek and this and rent control, which is interesting.
Kind of already happened.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where that goes. It's good. It's good to have him there. You're right. All right. So we'll sit tight. Now, updates on ongoing projects and properties. That would be Owen and Mike and maybe Kyle. I don't know. Who gets to talk?
I can jump in. So Greenkill, we got the windows yesterday. They're going in now. That was really the thing that was holding that project up from completion. So we are on track for our substantial completion date, which is end of July. And yeah, basically they're going to be doing some finished work inside, and then that project's going to be done, and it's going to be great. Franklin Street, we have a signed contract from a GC for that house, and we are waiting for KCLB signature. We have a kickoff meeting on Monday with architects and Daniel and GCs, and they should be able to, I mean, their official start date is 27th of June, but they may even start sooner, we'll see. But either way, it's happening. So that's the last of our pilot homes in contract.
Congratulations, that's good.
It is good. It's
How are we
I thi- I-
finding these, how are we finding these architects to work with?
KDA.
Yeah,
I would rather work with LMV at any given juncture.
Mhm.
LMV is just on top of their act, and KDA needs prodding.
Mhm.
And they're not. I mean, they're fine at their job. It's just, you know, part of the. I just got to poke them and, you know, ask for things again and whatever. And LMV, you know, Kim Ryan is like, she's thinking about the next step and she delivers it before, you know, we need to remind her about it. So.
That's good. Good.
Yeah. Which is not to say, if we wind up in a situation where we're working with KDA again, that's totally cool, and we'll do it, and we'll build that house, and it'll be fine. You know.
Right. Just a little more effort required. Okay.
Let's see. Down Street, we got the approved clean out happen. The house looks a lot more presentable now. So I think it's a good step towards what you guys are going for. Can I just make a couple of comments about what you're talking about the Downs sale? I just want to invite you all to be reflecting on like our process with selling Henry Street in Hamilton, and what kind of learnings came out of that. And I mean, the things for me, which you can take or leave, is like, if you feel like it's possible to present some kind of selections matrix to proposers. I forget where I saw in this land bank conference, but saw somebody else's RFP and saw that they were including the a selections matrix, so people knew what their proposals were being graded against. And I think maybe included on there is like just leaving yourself 3 broad reasons why you might just toss out their proposal or everybody's proposal. You know, including this house really brings the minimum proposal price issue in question for me, of like, it's just a valuable house. And so you're going to toss out things that are below what you think are reasonable. So I feel like it's maybe worth it just saying that, so that people don't waste their time putting together an 8-page proposal on something that's not reasonable.
So you think we should put in a minimum bid, a price, a real life price that we stick to?
Or if you don't make it a requirement, then at least say, you know, here are 3 reasons we're gonna toss out proposals, or reserve the right to toss out proposals. Like, it's under 100,000 price. You know, we don't believe the person has the financing to do it. And here's what we mean by that, like 30% cash for their construction costs or whatever. Like, and or like, we don't believe they have experience or something like that. But like, I mean, you don't need to make it very specific. It's just like, just set it up so that people self-select a little bit. Be like, yeah, I don't have any cash, so the fact that I think I can do this that's not a good enough reason for me to submit a proposal. And then it just leaves it that then when you're having those conversations later, you can just point to that page and be like, this is why we tossed out all of the proposals, because there were, you know, I got 3 under 100,000 and then 2 that had no financing. So, or, you know, no cash or whatever. And then the other thing I'd add is that I think last round we put them on Zillow. You can remind me, Mike, but like we got into the real estate listings kind of like towards the end, and I feel like that could generate a lot of possibilities for this house, and so just
Totally.
making that part of our process
If,
from the
if
beginning.
I can convince Zillow to allow us to list it, that we will. That
Yeah.
was very helpful. And I think those are great points, Owen.
Good. Yeah, thank you, Owen. I think you're right. You know, we should learn from our last adventure, and I think there are things that we will do differently. To be honest, I would love to see the woman that that asked, that we gave the exit, not exit interview, the evaluation of her failed proposal bid on it. I think she'd be a great proposer, but I don't know if she has the money.
Can I throw something out for the group to consider? So as some of you might remember, the account Cheap Old Houses on Instagram has been quite
Yep.
supportive of us. They've shouted us out a bunch of times. They had asked me months ago if we were ever like selling a house as is. That was cool. Like they would love for me to do a tour that they would post. So they have like 1.5 million followers. It would definitely get a lot of eyes on the property, obviously from far and wide. But
Right.
to me, like, I mean, it's
That's a good idea.
that, you know, it's the exact target, I feel like. So
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That's a great idea.
I'd be thrilled to do it, but
Right.
yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
Might be better than a Zillow listing.
Oh, I think
I'm not the social media person. I just try.
All
So
the
I
way
think
to the top, Mike.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it'd be great. I follow them too, Daniel. Actually, since you did your thing, I've been following them, and as do one of my kids who keeps citing ones that if they were closer, if they were in a different place, they'd be interesting.
Move to the middle of Kansas, like
Right, you'd be all set.
crazy expansion. Yeah.
It's hard to work remote from there, you know.
Yeah.
All right, good. That's a good idea. I think that's an excellent idea, and we'll put those down. I think we should plan on doing that for down. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't market it that way as well.
Cool.
The other thing that I would add is, and I'm with y'all in your decision that this is like a house that's just a little big and doesn't fit in any of the programs we have access to right now, or like maybe it will for some program 2 years from now, but we don't want to hold on to it. But I just, now that it's cleaned out, and as you all are walking around, I just invite you to just pause one more moment on that question, just because it's just a nice house that's like not that messed up, and it's big, but it's not crazy big. So I just invite you to like pause one more moment before you pull the trigger, to like make sure that you don't have any programs that it can fit into, which I don't have any suggestions. So I'm not promoting it. I'm just asking you to think about it.
So Owen likes this house. I don't think you can bet on it, Owen. I don't think you're allowed to do.
I'd move to that house. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my like kind of thought on it has always been like, it's not that the house needs like an extraordinary amount of work. It's just how big it is and how our pricing tends to look, just like on a cost per square foot basis. But Owen's completely right. Like, you rip out a couple of drop ceilings, new kitchen, new bathroom, the bedrooms and stuff are all cosmetic work. Like, it's not an overwhelming.
Whoa.
Look at that. There's another piece. There's another piece to this for us to remember. We need the money.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like
That is true.
It's so uncommon and probably it could never happen again that we'll get a house like this. Like it's a real exception to the rule, I feel like. Wow, even
I can't wait.
gone.
Where's the attic? I can't wait.
Where's the foyer couch? Did those boys break my newel post?
I saw that too.
I'm gonna kill you. She's
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
It has a floor. Who knew?
It has a floor, yeah.
unbelievable.
Wow. Excellent.
Sure.
Very neat.
Okay, and then Legacy Cities is the only other thing going on, and I don't really have anything to add besides what Mike said about where that's at.
Maybe Kyle has some updates. We've been in the trenches with a couple of things. I don't know if there's anything. If you have a line of sight on things, then
Nothing other than what you've been saying, just environmental stuff, trying to get that done.
the state did indicate in an email that their target to assign a closing attorney is next month. So that's a good step in the formalized process. We shall see what that means in terms of closing in July.
Probably more likely August before Labor Day kind of thing.
I don't know. We're the first ones to go through it, and so we're having to make the road by walking.
Oh, I have a thing. Sorry.
No, that was it.
Let me just jump in. Can I talk about the Herzogs situation?
Oh, sure. That's great.
So we, for a long time, we've had the hope that we could kind of get either Herzogs or a different local store to want to work with us on getting us well-priced materials and whatnot. So we had a second meeting with Brad Jordan. I was not at the first meeting. Who owns Herzogs. He is very excited about the work that we're doing, wants to really support us. And so they're inclined to, from my understanding, basically pass along very, very good pricing to us on all materials that we want and need. So everything from your 2x4s to your bathroom tile. So it does change like the process kind of on my /design committee's end, because I'm gonna have to, you can't like surf their catalog online. You kind of have to go and look at stuff, and so it's a different thing than I'm used to. But yeah, it looks like they're sort of opening that door for us for all 4 Legacy Cities homes and Franklin, which is very, very
Excellent.
cool. So they will be terrific community partners, was the term we landed on.
And my understanding is Minya played a role in arranging that as well, if I'm not, that's
Yeah, I
outstanding.
think she
Great.
initially reached out to him. Yeah,
That's
so
fabulous.
super cool.
And they won another case today too.
Who did?
He's one of the partners,
Kingstonian.
Estonian, and they threw out the latest challenge in court today. Another one, they're as bad as the election challengers with their number of failed lawsuits. But good. So that's great. That's very good news. Okay, I think that's the end of the agenda. I don't know if anybody has. Oh, how was your junket? I guess you're not supposed to call it a junket in Syracuse.
Our targeted New York Land Bank Association educational session.
Yeah, that's the one.
It was great. It was 3 days in Syracuse with many of the other 26 land banks. I'm hoping to probably link in the board package to a combined PowerPoint presentation that each land bank gave on their work. It's too large to actually email, but I'll send the link around. My takeaways include that we are the only land bank that's doing the work that's getting done in this way, but we're all dealing with different challenges at different land banks. And collectively, we're all pretty excited about this $50 million to see what that looks like for all of us. And I learned a lot about open meeting law. That's why we're currently having a public meeting, trying to meet the spirit of the intent of the rules. And should they change, we will pivot and change with them. Those were my, Owen and Kyle were also in that meeting about open meeting law. So I believe they can appreciate also the complexity of compliance, or attempts at compliance at least.
You know,
Um,
as long as we record everything, you know, and so if someone it's like the environmental processing. It only matters if somebody sues you. Okay. The open meetings law is the same deal. It only matters if somebody sues you for violating the Open Meetings Act. But as long as everything's recorded, you know, we can say to them, okay, well, we made a mistake. We're sorry. Here's the recording. You know, it isn't, I mean, they miss an opportunity to bitch and moan in person, but you know, that's a small price to pay, I think.
I agree. I do think the challenge will come if the executive order is no longer renewed by the governor and public meetings require attendance in person, and how does that work?
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's another thing, but I totally agree. I had a couple quick other updates if I could, just to
Well,
get
I mean,
through the rest.
I have one thing and then
Sure.
I'll turn it over to
Oh,
you to do
sure.
that. I did
Of course.
attend portions of the seminar that you forwarded, Daniel, about vacant and abandoned and properties. And it was interesting and I learned some stuff. It is available online, so you can look at it if you'd like. There's a couple of the sessions that are worth looking at. A lot of it was about tax foreclosures and the fact that these guys would help a city or a town organize their tax foreclosures. And there was also some horror stories about some places that sell their tax debt to investment bankers and developers, and who do horrible things after that. I mean, that's a nightmare. I'm glad we don't do that in Kingston. But it was an interesting. I was intermittent. You know, it was 6 hours, and I'm not doing 6 hours of anything. So I came in and went and some of the stuff, and it was. But it is all available, and I can send the link to you if you're interested. So that's all I had to say about that. You know, Mike.
Thank you. Just to spit out some updates on the rest of the portfolio. Gill Street that we hadn't talked about is currently also in the same sort of interim status as is Henry and Downs, for the purposes of, you know, our plans to move forward with that. So the building is locked up. We have completed plans that have not been approved for a permit, but they've been paid for. Site survey is done. Environmental survey has been conducted and paid for, but we haven't conducted that work. So that's just another one that's probably further along than Henry or Downs are, definitely further along. But just wanted to give that update that that's for the future. There won't be any, for the near future, we don't have any additional updates probably on that property.
Did we solve the foundation problem? That's what the plans are for?
We have a, Owen, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we have a plan to resolve the
Okay.
conditions. at
We
the
have a
foundation.
solution. Okay.
We do.
Oh, we aren't doing it, right?
No.
So we're gonna sell it as is, but we paid for plans, so might as well give them to the buyer, kind of thing.
Hmm.
I could also probably put that on cheap old houses too. Just saying.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah. You could, yeah.
I think,
And
yeah,
is
this
that
is all in
another
the
one?
context. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, that's all right. Do we need another realtor to tell us what it's worth?
I
Maybe.
like the former strategy of just making it up, but we didn't. Not a bad idea. I mean, yeah, we could go with the Z estimate on Zillow. We could, to my knowledge, there's nothing really requiring us to like have it appraised, or
Oh, no, we don't want an appraisal. No.
we can kind of make it up. So I think in part it's what feels reasonable.
So that could be another one. That could be another sale for the fall, which would be, and cheap old houses is a good way to go with those, I think.
I think,
As one way. I mean, there's other ways and other marketing.
yeah. I guess what I would be curious about, and maybe it's just a conversation with Paul at building safety, is like the extent to which they will require somebody to do like the structural work that was proposed to us and we felt like we were sort of locked into. Like, in my view, if it were my house, I probably wouldn't. but
I think that work was done in anticipation of having a driveway on the side of the house. And so an owner could choose not to, and then the work plan might be different. I might be wrong on that, but it's just supporting your point that a
Yeah, I
different
guess-
owner may do something.
right, the question just being like, how much could somebody get in and out of this house for renovating it and backing into what it maybe should cost? 'Cause if
Yeah,
they
I don't
all
know.
would be required to complete $100,000 in structural work on that little tiny house.
Right.
and selling it really cheap, I think.
I don't know I don't know how bad the foundation is. So,
I never saw it after they did the like exploratory demo. I think I
Mhm.
basically understand the issue, but I
It's
but what is it? Is it a block wall failing? Is that what we're talking about here?
no, it's you got a couple different things going on. The foundation itself is fine. The brick walls are fine. You've got floor joists that have had some rotting issues that have been kind of like half corrected before, but need additional correcting to really make it last. The rotting issues are from moisture issues, which are have to do with that side of the house that's got a kind of driveway built up against it. And so part of what the architects and engineers were proposing involves like digging along that wall and creating drainage on that wall rather than pooling moisture against that wall, because that also has moisture and mold issues that on the inside of the house. And then the building, the sidewalk also puts like weight pressure on the front porch and front of the house, and that is like in the process of failing. So that could be you could figure out a way that well, anyway, so that's not on the house
Right.
exactly, but it's something that needs to be dealt with.
So,
That's
so,
the main
right.
thing.
So our solution, because we were going to sell it for somebody as a first-time homeowner as an affordable house, is the Cadillac solution. And if it was a normal person buying it, you might opt not to do some of that stuff. Okay, I get it now. Yeah, or you might do it yourself.
Yeah, you might have some regrets. The other thing is that the structural, there's like that structural floor that needs work. Like it's got asbestos flooring.
Tiles.
So like, yeah, you gotta. Oh, and they said there's asbestos underneath. That's the same thing that's been questioned at German Street. But so anyway, it's not like, oh yeah, just easy fix, cut a hole and deal with it. It's just like the moisture on the sidewall. It's not an easy fix because you got to dig up the driveway that the neighbor thinks is theirs, but is actually ours. So it's just a pain in the balls.
Yep, I get it. And the asbestos tile, non-friable asbestos is, I don't know. People have a tendency to panic, but that's it. That's right. Go for it.
never hurt anyone.
That's right.
Meeting is still being recorded.
Hey, we're all wearing masks anyway. No,
You said
so-
it's a pain in the balls, though, and I'm
That's a technical term.
right.
Technical term.
Okay, good. So Mike, I'm sorry, we interrupted.
No,
and got-
it's okay. One thing just globally to mention is that at the finance committee, we're beginning discussions around next year's budget. And so this can feed into that. It probably should, because it does roll into our annual funding requests for operating and other activities. So just wanted to mention that kind of globally, that these conversations can inform that more broad conversation. I believe finance is angling on a timeline that I'm not sure I'm fully aware of, but I think that we're going to try to do what we've done the past 2 years, which is to pass an organizational budget at the August board meeting. And so just for context.
Yeah, I don't think
The
we,
other
I don't
things,
think-
sorry.
oh, no,
Sorry.
go ahead. Yeah, I was just gonna say,
No.
I think that's right. That's it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they may ask, and if I was them, I would ask, is there any income that we can anticipate next year from the sale of Downs and or,
Yeah,
Recall
and-
what happened last year with Henry.
yeah, we thought about it and it
We
didn't work out.
budgeted, but we budgeted for it as if the money was in the bank, and it wasn't. So
But they ought to know that we're thinking about this and there might be some income.
Agreed.
I don't know how they do. That's I don't do that. I don't do money.
I was going to say the person sitting motionless may have some insights. Sorry, Erica.
No, I've got a lot of background noise because I'm in the car, but we're actively working on creating a worksheet that shows our obligated funds and our unobligated, so I can identify the dollars that we have available for new potential projects. But like Mike kind of said, we are really gunning to make sure that we have a solid budget, and we are going to lend on the committees to make sure that they illustrate exactly what they're looking to do, so we can figure out what our true expenses will be in the fiscal year 23. So
Good.
thank you.
Good. Okay, what else, Mike?
Just two other quick updates. One, Owen reminded me when I was looking at the contract today for Franklin. I'm sure you all know, but I had forgotten that our contractor we selected as a Meavy Weavy firm. So I think that's great. I'm sure it had been discussed before. I just, in looking at the person signing the contract, it occurred to me to ask. So I think that's a good thing to socialize for, just promotion of our work in general. Also wanted to mention a slight update on the 3rd Avenue site. I have managed to re-engage conversations with the owner of the site, the owner of the judgment against the contiguous lot that potentially will be donated to us, allowing us to probably build 2 structures on. It was the end of the conversation is that I will meet with them in person, hopefully in the middle of July, and that they will consult with their spouse about a price that is understandable and fitting for them, but they understand the work that we're trying to do. They think it's good work, and they want to come to a resolution probably next month is what they just told me. So I will have some more updates for that, hopefully at the next meeting. And then in the context of that, I wanted to mention that CPC, our lender and the Legacy Cities program, has engaged with us and other land banks and the Land Bank Association around the possibility of coming up with different modules for new infill construction for affordable homeownership. So it's early days in the conversation, but they're, I think, essentially taking a survey of different land banks to see how many could you do, what are your zoning requirements, if you could do them. Thanks, Daniel. Take care. See you soon, or talk to you. Bye. Anyway, that was my update. That's early days for new construction, but we might have something. They're aware, they have a copy of our draft zoning text that the city is working on, and I think it would be great. We talked about this for years of having a couple different, kind of pre-approved through planning types, building types based on lot dimensions, and maybe we could accelerate our new construction beyond just 3rd Avenue into other parts of the city. So to be continued.
That's good to know. The new zoning ordinance, the draft zoning ordinance has lots of flexibility in it. It's really quite interesting. I think there's all kinds of opportunities there for non-traditional housing on empty land and other stuff. It's worth, if you're really bored, you could read it, but it's, and I'm glad Mike's going to be commenting. I have not gotten back to you about your thoughts on that, but I will.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Those were my updates.
And I hope everyone, when you're in Syracuse, Mike said that they did get to go to Dinosaur Barbecue. I hope all of you got to go to Dinosaur Barbecue. I'm disappointed you didn't go to the Salt Museum, but that's maybe another trip you can have that opportunity. It's always a high point in Syracuse is the Salt Museum and the Erie Canal Museum. But
I went to Salt City Market, and that was the highlight of my trip. There are so many food options.
Hey, it's the Salt City, you got to do Syracuse. All right, I don't have anything else. Shall we adjourn and go about the rest of our weekend? All right, so be it. I don't know, because we're not an official thing, I don't think we have to vote or anything. We can just be done.
Yep.
All right, have a good weekend, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.